Write an expression for the complex point z equals 2 minus 2i in polar form and plot the point in the polar plane. All right, so, well, first thing we could do is actually just plot this point, right, in the complex plane. Okay, so remember, this is the real axis, is imaginary axis, so we're just going to go 2 to the right, right, the positive 2, so 2 to the right and 2 down. All right, so this should be this point here, okay, 2 minus 2i. But what does it mean to write it in polar form? Now remember, we are doing the polar form of a complex number, right? So remember, if we have something like z equals a plus bi, okay, then in polar form, this is going to be r cosine of theta plus I sine of theta. Okay? Essentially what we're doing is we are determining what this r value is and what this angle here is going to be. Okay, so that's basically what we're doing. We're converting, I don't want to say rectangular into polar, but it's sort of similar. Okay. Now, just be careful with the notation here. Right? We're using z equals a plus bi, which is the normal way that we write a complex number. Okay? And we're just going to convert into r and theta. So remember how to do that, right? We got to remember the formula. Okay, remember a squared plus b squared, that is equal to r squared. And tangent of theta, right, that's going to equal b over a. Okay. Of course, we could use the sine and cosine, right? We'll get to that. Okay, so first thing we always want to do is, we usually want to find the r value first, right? So, okay, r squared equals 2 squared plus negative 2 squared, right? R squared is going to equal 4 plus 4, which is 8. So r is going to be the square root of 8, which is 2 radical 2. Remember, we did get the plus and minus here, but because we are dealing with the length, the answer for r is always going to be positive. In this case, 2 rad 2. Okay. So now we want to find this angle, right? Remember, essentially what that means is the length from here to here, right? This length here is 2 radical 2. But how are we going to find the angle? We use the tangent, right? Now, another thing to remember is we know that we are in quadrant 4. Right, so, okay, I know that the tangent of theta is negative 2 over 2. Right, so, okay, tangent of theta, that's just equal to negative 1. But wait a minute, in quadrant 4, where does tangent equal negative 1? And this angle here is just 7 pi over 4. So then, finally, okay, in polar form, this point, right, 2 minus 2i, we can write this as 2 radical 2, okay, cosine of 7 pi over 4 plus I sine of 7 pi over 4. Okay. So this would be the final answer. Now, okay, I know the question doesn't ask this, but let's sort of convert everything back, I guess, right? What is the cosine of 7 pi over 4? Right, so if you think about it, okay, wait a minute, okay, I know the cosine of 7 pi over 4 is rad 2 over 2, and I know that the sine of 7 pi over 4 is negative rad 2 over 2. Okay. Notice what happens though. What happens when we multiply these together? 2 radical 2 times radical 2 over 2, that just equals 2. And what happens here? That just equals negative 2, but then with that I. Okay, so essentially what we're doing is we're just converting this back into its complex form. Okay, so remember the terminology here, right? This is called the complex form, okay? And this is the polar form of a complex number, okay? Which is different than just the regular polar form. Okay, so you want to make sure you understand the different forms of these numbers.